Hello, so this is scripting in Roblox, and today we're going to be making a boat. And so I already have a boat right here. We'll probably end up making a new boat on our own. But here's our boat right here. As you can see, it's grouped together as a model, and it has a vehicle seat and all the other parts right here. So first of all, I want to show you how this particular boat works. And let's jump right in here. And when you press forward, it increases your speed up to the maximum speed of the boat. And if you hold backwards, it will decrease your speed. And obviously pressing left and right will turn the boat. It does not go backwards because we could make it go backwards. It's just personal preference. I think it shouldn't go backwards because in real life boats don't go backwards like that. I guess you could make it go backwards slowly if you want, and just pretend it has a backup feature. But yeah, so that's how this boat works. And first of all, let's just go ahead and create a new boat here. Alrighty, so here's our boat, and notice it doesn't have a seat. That's because the way you put the seat on, you have to do it kind of specially. So search here, vehicle seat right there, and then just double click that, and this is our vehicle seat. So what we want to do though is it does matter which way is the front. So to find out the front, just scroll down here in the properties bar and find the surface thing. And so the front surface is smooth right now, so let's make it a hinge. You can make it whatever you want, but hinge is easiest to see. And so we have a hinge right here, so now we know this is the front. And then let's just rotate this and put it right here. And then we want to get rid of this hinge, make that smooth, go like this, and let's make it look like the other parts of the boat. And there's our seat. So now we're going to go get into the scripting part. So what we want to do is we want to have the way things work is a lot of boats have things called body positions, body gyros, and so for an example, let's take a look at this boat here. Inside the vehicle seat, we have the script that actually makes it work. We have the gyro, the position, and the velocity. The velocity makes the boat move when we press the right buttons. The position keeps it from sinking, and the gyro keeps it from tipping over. So the gyro, a body gyro, is meant to you know, keep things oriented in the way you want. The body position puts it to a certain position, and the body velocity gives the brick a velocity, a speed. And so we're just gonna go ahead and copy all these over to this seat right here, and I'm gonna show you what the properties are on this. So here, the body gyro, the D is the dampening, I think, and it just makes it so that it doesn't like go to the place you want it to, or it doesn't rotate too hard and too quickly, depending on how you want that. The max torque is the actual power that it has and how fast it does it, and the power, I don't know. I'm kind of new to these things a little bit myself, but all you need to really know is this max torque. Let's expand this a little bit. The max torque has 3 values, X, Y, and Z. And so okay, it's hard to explain, but I'll explain it later. The position and the velocity have similar they have similar properties. The body position has the position you want it to be at. And anyway, so let's go ahead and copy over the script from our original boat to our new seat, and we'll start working. Alright, so one thing I forgot to do is put this vehicle seat in the actual boat. So let's Control X to cut that, and then click on the boat, and then paste into right there. So now the vehicle seat is correctly inside the boat. Alright, so now we're going to look over the script that I copied over to this vehicle seat. And this is our script. First I'm going to go over exactly, well, not exactly, my point is like non-exactly, how this script works. So the script checks to see if the seat is changed. Or hold on, I actually forgot something. So let me show you what happens when the player controls the boat. So let's jump in and let's select this boat, and then we look at the vehicle seat and scroll down here. Here we have our steer, our throttle, and that's pretty much the only important parts. So when we turn left, the steer turns to -1. If we are doing nothing, it goes to 0. If we turn right, steer changes to 1. And then if we go forward, throttle is 1. If we do nothing, throttle is 0. If we go back, throttle is -1. And so you can just try and remember this, because this is kind of what we need to know as we work on our script. So that's how that works. Okay, so let's look at our vehicle seat. And what this does is when script, okay, remember script.parent is the seat. And in fact, up here, I actually have seat equals script.parent. So down here, instead of putting script.parent twice, we can just say seat. So seat.changed connect move. So changed happens when one of the properties of the thing that you're using changed on changes. So when the seat is changed, it will activate the move function, which is this whole function right here. And so remember, when we go forward, the throttle will change, and the throttle is one of the properties of the boat, or not the boat, the vehicle seat. And so when the throttle changes, or when you steer, when the steer property changes, it will activate this function. So up here we have the rest of our tags. So we have the gyro, because we're going to be using these a lot, and so instead of putting seat.bodyGyro every single time, we say gyro equals seat.bodyGyro. And then you know, we do the same for the other things. And so then after it you know, sets the short stuff for that, it sets the pos, because right here pos is the seat.body position, which is this thing right here. And so what it does is, actually this should be separated because it's easier to read. So what it does is at the beginning, when the game runs, the body position's position is going to be set to the seat's position. And notice that the position, the P is capitalized here, but the P is not capitalized here. That's because if we look over here in this body position, the P is not capitalized here, but if we look at the vehicle seat and then go down to, where's position? Right there. Position is, the P is capitalized. The capitalization does matter, so just remember that. And then what it does is it sets the gyro's C frame, and the C frame is what direction it's looking and what, yeah, it's pretty much what direction it's looking. And it sets the gyro's C frame to the seat's C frame. And one interesting thing though is if we look over in this body gyro right here, we don't see the C frame anywhere. Even though we don't see it, it is there. The reason it's not here is because we can't change it outside of a script. We have to change it using scripting. And that's because that's the only way you'd want to use it, kind of. I don't know. It's the only way you can change it, and that's why we can't do it here. It's better just to have it this way too. So the next thing is it sets speed to 0, and I'll be explaining what that is later. And then it sets ready to true. I'll explain that later, of course. And then it waits for a second, and then it sets the seats anchored to false. Because why we do this is because the seats anchored is set to, oh, actually it should be false. Now it's false. Okay, or not true. Jeez. Okay, what you want to do is it has to be anchored. Well, it doesn't have to be, but that's how I like it because it's more secure. Because it changes the position of the body gyro, or not the body gyro, the position of the body position to the seat's position. And if it does that after the seat falls, then that could be a little bit problematic. You'll explain. You'll understand why we do this later. As always, you don't need to understand everything, because you'll learn to understand it on your own. Because I can't really explain everything. I don't understand everything fully here. I just know that this does that, and so I do it. Because I know that works, and even though I don't know why it works, it just does. That's how a lot of things are. And so let's jump right into it. So when the seat is changed, it will activate this function. And in the same way that the touched event, so if we say touched, that would pass on the part that would pass on whatever part touched this script's parent. Changed passes on the property that was changed, and so right here we have the property, and then we are able to figure out what property was changed. So the next step is if the property is steer, so let's pretend that the player pressed the D key or the right key, then one of those the property that was changed there was the steer. And then I'll go over this later. This part later. This doesn't matter right now. Then we're going to set this steer to seat.steer. And this is just another tag to... A tag is, just to make it shorter and easier to write. And so, say the player pressed right, so they turned right. We're setting steer to seat.steer, which would be 1 if you remember right, because if you press right, then steer changes to 1. And then it goes on to a while loop right here. And so if the steer is not equal to 0, so as long as the player is continuing to press right, then it's going to again set steer to seat.steer. And if the steer is equal to 1, then it's going to make the player turn right. And what this does is, oh, in fact, we don't even need to, we can just do this. gyro.cframe equals gyro.cframe times, except because this star symbol normally means times, but when you're using cframe, it means width. So, or not, maybe not width, but add to. Again, this is one of those things that I don't fully understand. So, yeah, I don't fully understand it, but it works anyway. Basically, what this line does is it changes this body gyro thing right here. It changes its C-frame, or what direction it's looking, to one more small amount, which is negative 0.1 to the right. And negative 0.1 is to the right. Okay, just remember, you don't need to understand that. I don't even understand this. It works. Let's move on. Otherwise, else if steer is equal to -1, that happens when the player is pressing left, then it will make it go left. And so we're going to fix this right here. Obviously, left is positive and right is negative, as you can see here, because here we're using okay, just never mind. And then it waits, because if we don't have a wait here, then it will do this over and over again really fast, and and then it will crash Roblox, I think. At least that's how it used to happen, but now I think they have a safety net. It'll just break the script now. But we do need to have a little wait there with no argument. If you have a wait with nothing there, it'll just wait as short as possible, which is like 0.0001 or something like that, I don't know. And then it changes the velocity to the direction of the seat with speed. Another one of those things that you don't need to understand now, but because actually this next thing over here, this changes the speed. I feel like I'm explaining so horribly right now, but just bear with me. Again, you don't need to understand this, but anyway, so throttle, okay, this will happen if the throttle is you know, changed, because before it's like, okay, well, if the steer was changed, then it will do all this, and now it's like, okay, well, if it's not the steer and it's the throttle that was changed, then it will do this right here. And so that's what it's doing. It's setting throttle. So this throttle is, this again makes it just easier to type. Instead of having to do c.throttle every time, we just do throttle. So while throttle is not equal to 0, so just as long as the player is doing something with the throttle, if they're going forward or back, if the throttle is equal to 1, so if they're holding forward and the speed is smaller than the maximum speed, then it's going to increase the speed. So this makes it so that the player can't go as fast as he wants. And this speed here, it's another one of those things that we can name whatever we want. It's just a variable. We could call it bacon, but speed makes more sense than bacon, even though bacon tastes better than speed. And so yeah, if speed is smaller than seat.max speed, because all vehicle seats have a max speed property, which is right here, max speed is 25, then it's going to set the speed to whatever speed it is right now plus 1. Otherwise, if the throttle is not equal to 1, and the throttle is -1, so if the player is pressing backwards when this function runs, and the speed is larger than 0, then the speed is going to decrease by 1. And that's how the player is able to control the speed without exceeding the speed limit and without going backwards. So if we did want the player to go backwards, then we could just do this, 25, or however fast we wanted the player to go backwards. But I'm going to have it at 0 right now. and then it'll wait a second, because we always need to have a wait in a while loop, and then it'll set the velocity of the velocity. Kind of redundant, but you know, vel is short for velocity, velocity, dot velocity, lots of velocities. Anyway, the velocity is equal to the seats CFrame dot look vector times speed, because look vector is a part of CFrame, which can be a part of a part, and seat is considered as a part, even though that's not the class name. It's a vehicle seat. There's a lot of things to remember here, but anyway, times speed. Yeah. I know it sounds like I'm rambling, and I know I probably am, but that's the best I can explain it. I actually wrote this script, and I had to figure a lot of things out, and so it is a little bit tricky, but you know, if you don't understand it right now, it's okay. I really don't expect you to, even if I'm putting myself in your shoes. If I was watching this, even at my level of understanding, I'd be a little bit confused until I wrote it myself. So you at home, do this yourself, and then you'll understand it. And yes, because you know, practice makes perfect, right? So let's go over this one more time in a more simple way. If the seat is changed, if one of the properties in the seat is changed, then it's going to move, and so if they are steering, then it's going to make sure that this doesn't run twice, because if we were to get rid of this ready thing, this whole ready system thing right here, I'm not going to explain the ready system, that's for you to figure out. What it does is, it's kind of a little bit buggy. It makes it so that the player will spin left really, really fast. Or not really, really fast, but twice as fast as normal. And I'm not going to explain why, because that would just take too much time and it'd be too confusing anyway. But just remember this thing, and yeah. And then so if it's steer, then it's going to, as long as the player is steering, then it's going to turn it right. If the player is turning right, it's going to go left if the player is pressing left, and then it's going to set the velocity to the direction that the seat is pointing in. Else, if the property that was changed is throttle instead of steer, then it's going to do all this. It's going to change the speed to go higher or lower depending on whether the player is pressing forward or backward. So just to make sure I didn't break anything when I changed it, let's test this again. And it seems to be working great. So that's one way you can make a boat, and I think that's all for now. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. If you like the video, leave a comment. If you're confused, leave a comment. Leave a comment whether you like it or not, I guess. I mean, whether you, I don't know. Yeah, if you don't like it, leave a comment, because I want to know what I did wrong and maybe how I can explain better. And thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time.